All right, I just downloaded the Photoshop beta that introduces generative fill. So they've baked in AI into Photoshop, which is awesome. I've been using some other tools like Midjourney and Lexica and Dolly. But the challenge with that is, at least from my experience, that getting them to be kind of high res images can be challenging, or the images are, you're kind of feeding it an image and then it kind of remixes it. There is a little bit of functionality with Dolly where you can kind of expand the edges, but to have it all natively in Photoshop is really what I've been itching for. Because I'm by no means a Photoshop expert. I consider myself beginner to intermediate. I can mess around in it, but there's so much functionality in Photoshop, and they've made the generative AI pretty flexible. So I'm going to throw some Everseed stuff at it. I haven't tried any of this at all. This is my first dive into using the features in Photoshop. I've read a little bit about it at this point, so we should be able to navigate it. But I have a few pretty different images. So we're going to play around with this Magma crawler, which is pretty high res. So the team's provided this to the community for the Everseed wiki. And I'm, of course, going to play around with it from an AI perspective. I also have a painted bear. I don't want it in there. Let's go pull it into a different file. So we'll separately play around with this. And what I want to try to do is get the honey bear kind of look. So I like the painted. It's like a bear with like paint poured on it. It's a really cool style. So that was at a lodge I stayed at recently, and I was like, oh, that's perfect. So I'll try to make that a honey bear. That's going to be pretty challenging because honey bear is a pretty unique creature. It's kind of like honey badger meets bear. So, and it's kind of a brown yellow color. And then I want to play around with, I just took a still from my recent video. I just want to mess around with the AI and see what we can do to just, what does the AI think of everything on screen here? But we'll keep it kind of relatively simpler here. Where we had a single subject. Okay, so in Photoshop's getting pretty nuts in terms of selection. I remember back in the day you had to like magic wand everything or paint or quick mask, but now it's like I can just click a button and select the subject. It's kind of nuts. I mean, granted, this one's a transparent background, so it should be relatively easy work for it. But even like it grabs, the hole in there, the transparency there. It's really nice. Just like single click to select the subject. Very cool. Okay, I'm not showing you a little bit of what it's going to be doing here, but you can get pretty nuts here with the generative fill. So like this Magma crawler is, just on a transparent background, but we can add something around it. So what I'd want to do is increase the canvas size here. All right, we're going to jack this up. Probably, I want like a pretty full res image here. So we'll do 3200 by 1800s. Give it a whole lot of space. So I want to put this Magma crawler in a scene here. All right, so we'll select the subject again. Now I'm actually going to select the inverse with Command-Shift-I on my keyboard, and then generative fill. Now it's having me agree to terms. Fine. Okay. Now, granted, I need to give it some context here because I guess I don't have to. We could just hit generate and see what happens because it's non-destructive. It's going to put it on a new layer. Let's just see what it comes up with on its own. I have no idea what it's going to do with this. I imagine it's going to be kind of this similar artsy vibe, but I didn't give it any context whatsoever. Now, what we could do too is I could pull in a background of some of the Everseed artwork. It's so boring. It just is like, nah. But there are a few variations. Yeah, it can't make any sense of this, which I don't blame it for that. I'm not giving it any context. Okay, but we can do generative fill. We can say a lava covered I say lava soil with lava and volcanoes in the background. Active volcanoes erupting in the background. I say like an animated style. Now I don't know how these prompts are going to actually work. I know that you're not supposed to like tell it, hey, please fill this, but it's just kind of like adjectives and nouns that describe the scene is what it likes. But I don't know how it's going to like about like me putting animated style at the end. I hope that it would be okay with that. Not bad. Now this is pretty good here. I'm liking that. That's a pretty good. I mean, what is it? I guess it's just a wave of lava coming in. Let's see what the other variations are. Okay, not too bad. I mean, I'm trying to like make it match. This one's probably the closest. Like this is actually pretty darn good. It's capturing really well the kind of bulbous lava. Here, it really captured that pretty well. The actual tiles itself could be a little better here. But considering that's all I'm giving it for context, that's pretty darn good. Now, what I'm actually pretty curious about would be if I, let's just hide that for now. I'm going to pull in a scene from some of the artwork. Okay, there we go. I got Sunhaven. Expand it out a bit. And then just got to make it a bit more realistic here. We're going to put this guy down. Kind of so he's on the... Obviously, it's not the scale, but I don't want him like floating in the middle of the air here. But what we can play around with is... I'm going to rasterize this puppy. And then what I want to do is we can do some pretty interesting things here where we change up some stuff. So I would want, like, for example, like, can we make this lava? Yeah, probably. All right, so I'm going to I'll do a brush select here. I don't know if that's going to do really good at selecting the, being a little sloppy. I don't know how well it's going to do at just selecting the waterfall. It might do okay, but my hope is that it understands enough context now from this image that it'll understand this is water. And I can see like a lava waterfall. We'll see how well it does. So we're going to slowly make this Sunhaven scene more hellish. We're going to slowly add lava. All right, so I'm gonna do generative fill, lava waterfall pouring into a pool of lava. All right, let's see what happens. Yeah, and the load times are pretty on par with what I've seen from other tools. Like, it needs some time to think. It's pretty good, though. I mean, Midjourney can take quite a while, depending on what you're asking for. Again, it's slowing down a bit here. I always love, like, progress bars are never actually, like, linear. It's like, oh, this is really hard. It's like, maybe they should design it so it's, like, part of it's thicker. Oh, wow. Oh, crap, I did the opposite. I selected the opposite. Oh no, that's hilarious though. If my bug got buried, I'm gonna pull my bug to the top. That's hilarious. Wow, that is insane. That's so crazy. Like, I didn't mean to do that, but the fact that it built rocks around the waterfall and preserved the waterfall is blowing my mind right now. I mean, granted, that's what I carved out to preserve, but the fact that it layered it in really well. That is bonkers. Right? Look at that. And it changed. You can see the bridge here. Keep your eyes on the bridge. It changed just a bit of that. And it preserved the boxes. And it even like restyled the stuff a little bit to make it kind of blend a bit better. Because they went for very like real looking rocks. Oh, that is insane. Like, and it understood the context of, oh, this is a waterfall. Like, this is probably going to be pouring out on even rocks on both sides. right? Like it preserved the same idea that you see in the original image where you do have these two even level things, a waterfall pouring over the edge. That's nutters. Let's go to, so let's try that again. Now I'm going to select that same, if I can. Oh, interesting. I don't know if I can actually select the original selection anymore. Usually it gets preserved. Yeah, it kind of preserved it, but it maybe that, yeah, see, I think that's kind of odd. I'll just reselect it. That seems bizarre. Let's reselect the water. But yeah, so what I had done, so what I was planning to do is actually replace the water, not everything around it. But I'm kind of glad that happened, because that was pretty impressive to see that. Let's try that again. We'll select just the water. I'm going to save my selection this time just to be safe here. Okay. And then, so this time I need to select everything else. So I'm going to hit Command-Shift-I. I'm going to hide that crazy scene, and I'm going to do, I'll hit generative fill again. We're going to do lava waterfall pouring into a pool of lava. Copy that. What else do we have here? Okay, just simple stuff. We'll hit generate. I kind of want to play around with this statue. It looks like a statue of like some type of bird. I want to change that to like... What? What is this? All right, we can do some variations here to see. Whoa, interesting. So I think it's struggling with the concept of a lava waterfall. Fair enough. Oh, okay. That's a very interesting. It's like a very tropical-ish looking bit there. This one just looks so ominous. I don't know what this pole is. And there's a weird. I don't know what this is about. And there's a lot of weird stuff going on there. Yeah, that one is a struggle bus. This one's not bad. It's not lava. But it's getting there. I'm going to give it like a thumbs down. It's not that great. So then this is beta, so they're asking for feedback. It's not bad, but it's not lava. Right? I think I can just reprompt here. See, red. What I'd probably just do is do like a red waterfall. It seems to be struggling with the idea of red, like lava waterfall. Fine, because it's not probably something it has a lot of context for. Now, I think this will still, I don't know if this will do it as a new layer or if it'll just replace my generative layer 3. But it is really cool because everything you're doing here, it's just it's baked right in to all of Photoshop's design. Okay, there's a random red like little trough there. Yeah, it's definitely struggling with some of the context here. Oh, interesting. So it kind of made, wow, that, you know what's so cool about this though? Look what it did there. It like look here. It like extended the house and tried to emulate the design. Now it's not perfect. There's a bit more dark brushing, like in the shade in some of the outlines. There's a lot more dark brushing from the original artist, and then here you can see it's very lacking. But all in all, pretty good. And we could play around with that a bit with some of the filters in Photoshop to kind of bring it closer. But that's pretty good. Like it's not what I wanted, but I'll keep that because what I think would be interesting to do is now, like that we have this generative layer, we can then take that further. We can say like not for the whole image, but for this part that was generated. How much did they actually tweak? Wow, see, they even did some of this. That is pretty insane. Like, it's not really exactly the prompt I asked for, but the fact that they blended it is crazy. And what you could actually do is you can feed it no prompt so that it just kind of tries to fill in the area on its own. Because so far I've been prompting it, so I'll show you that. But what I want to do is just see if I can go to the filter gallery and bring it a bit closer to the original design. That's too dark, but maybe you can, like, the black intensity is actually pretty strong on the original piece. A little bit. This is kind of a little bit what I had in mind. See, I was adding some dark strokes. Now I may want to keep the white intensity around mid tier, and then black intensity. It's tough. It's tough. Smudge stick might be adequate. Something like that. I mean, I'm just being a bit crude here, but I should have probably done that as its own layer, but you can kind of get the sense here. Like what you might want to start doing if, now granted that's kind of I was very sloppy with my selection. If I wanted to be more diligent, I would have brushed around, but just for the sake of example here, you can see that you can start to make this, do some filters to bring this to more parity with the original piece. But yeah, the other thing we could do is you can just, to reset this, we could do something interesting here. Like let's try to do make this a lighthouse, because it'll have that context. Like what's cool about this image is like there's a lot of new stuff, right? So let's see if it can replace that with a lighthouse. And it's going to try to adapt the imagery from the scene, you would hope. It's a very unique like art style. Oops. I did that again. I had to select everything around. That's kind of odd though. I guess, yeah, because I'm masking, so I am selecting the opposite. Let me try that again. I forget about that. When you do quick mask, you're painting out what to remove. So it's thinking I want to remove everything around it. So I just hit Command-Shift-I to invert my selection. So now it's focusing in on this actual piece. Wow, that's really good. That's crazy. That's super good. It even adopted like the coloring here on this little tower. It's pretty darn close, and it considered that this is a circular or cylindrical shape, so it's applying a bit of shading while trying to adhere to the fact that like it's not super high fidelity of an image. Like for different shades and stuff, they like stuck to the original artist, stuck to like very set colors. Like this is a pretty set color, and then it changes to here. This darkness is its own strip. This darkness is its own strip. So you don't see a lot of gradients, basically, is what I'm saying. And so they did adopt that. That is really good. This is like not exactly fitting with the theme. I mean, I guess a little bit. But that is pretty good. That one's not bad either. I mean, it's a little out of place. But like, that's insane. Like if you told me like, if this was the original picture, I might have been like, well, this part looks a little out of place. Kind of the detail in the glass there, but oops. Back. This one's not bad either. It looks a little different, but that is crazy. I want to give that a thumbs up. They did really good on that one. So what you can end up doing, you know, you don't want to get it crazy. If you're doing a Photoshop document proper, you want to start labeling this stuff. So you can start saying, okay, this is a pool. That's just rocks everywhere. All the rocks. And then that one's silly. I'm gonna delete that. I told you to not tell me that. There we go. Okay. But that's what's nuts. It's like this is kind of just layering on top, so you can slowly just replace the scene. I want to throw a kind of a curveball at it. So this is a magma crawler. I want to change it to what are these other options here? Oh, okay, they gave you an invert selection. That's pretty cool. Transform selection. So yeah, they gave you some masking and selection properties. Okay, that's pretty cool. I think that's what they're going to be moving towards, is like a kind of more of an action menu, because there's so many actions over here. It can be overwhelming. So it's actually a pretty cool thing that they're doing here. Let me try like ice bug. Did they put those plants there too? Look at that. They added like plants to the, I think that was already part of the scene, but they added like what is that? It's like a ladybug type thing. That's a creepy looking thing. That's hilarious. I think they're trying to figure out like, what do you mean by ice bug? But that's not bad. And like, what's pretty bonkers is you can see it's like filling in like right around the edge here. It's so funny. Because yeah, they really do try to adhere to the shape. The original shape, which is pretty darn interesting. Like they really enforce that. I know on other tools you can kind of usually drag a meter to indicate how strictly it should adhere to the original. But from like the actual raw shape perspective, it's really trying its best to adhere to that. And that kind of makes sense, because if you have multiple layers, it's going to try and fill out the layer you're replacing as much as possible. So, but how it does that creatively is actually pretty impressive. I obviously like the original style the best, but it's doing decently. And obviously these bugs are it's tricky because it doesn't have a whole lot of context. Like this is a very unique looking, video gamey kind of bug. Bugs in real life don't necessarily have these kind of almost carapace like textures here. I mean, obviously they do, but not in this animated, to this animated level here. It's very polygonal. I want to see if we can change the globe. So I want to see if I can select that specifically. So I'll do a quick selection. This quick selection tool is bomb, because it's really good at selecting just like a certain part, especially when it doesn't have the full context for what it is. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to say planet Earth. I want to see if it can like just replace the globe. So now this planet Earth on the back of the magma crawler. That's pretty good. Oh, it's funny. It's trying to blend it a little bit. Yeah, it's struggling a bit with. That's not bad. I mean, I would clean it up a little bit, right? So what you can do is, decent. I'll give you a thumbs up on that. It's not bad. It looks a little funny, but oops. Now what's tricky is so I'm removing the weirdness around the edge, but it's also, the reason it applied that is because it's a layer on top of the original, right? So what I would need to also do is go to the magma crawler, put a layer mask here, and then just rip away the now what's showing up underneath it? I might have another one. Hold on. Oh, weird. What's taking that? Oh, funny. See, so the pool actually bled into it a bit. So what you want to do is go to the pool, go to its layer mask, and just remove that. I was like, because it extended a bit too far. Yeah, you can see where the things start blending together. But the fact that you can do all this in Photoshop is so cool. It's really what I've been missing from other tools, where it kind of just spits out an image and then you have to kind of work with that on your own. The fact that you can blend this into the whole Photoshop workflow is incredible. All right. But anyway, back to our original plan here. So this is the layer on top. for the earth, and then I'm going back to the magma crawler layer and saying, okay, well, I replaced the bulb with planet Earth, so I'm going to remove the kind of bulb from the original, right? And then I'll go to the, call this Earth. Again, it's good to label these so it's clearer. Go to the layer here. Solidify that a little bit. And you can get very clean with it. I'm just kind of being a bit lazy right now. But that's not bad, right? Big picture. So to recap, we replaced the ball with planet Earth. We added a pool instead of a waterfall, which wasn't our plan. We wanted a lava pool, but it was like, no, we're gonna add a pool, which is a really nice looking pool. And then we put a lighthouse in instead of this other kind of more modern observatory. We kind of took it back a little bit. Let's do one other just fun one here, and then we'll move on to the next one. Is the this guy's just itching to be changed. Okay, this is where object selection tool is really good because it's pretty standalone. So usually you can get away with something like, oh yeah, and I forget this. Now you can just kind of hover. Before you had to kind of like draw a box around it. Now it's just like you click on it. It's crazy. And then I'll say, and I'm not gonna give it any more prompt. I'm gonna say angry pterodactyl. I'm not gonna give it any more of a prompt because it seems to infer from the scene, the style, which I love because that's really been a challenge in other tools, is that there's no context. What is this? What are you? Do I have my like? What is that? Oh, because it's trying to adhere to the shape. Oh man, that is hilarious. I'm gonna thumbs down that. But I think what would be better served here is to kind of just start from scratch. So if you don't want this creepy thing in the sky, maybe you do. I'm gonna keep that, but I'm gonna put that creepy smile. All right. What I would recommend is, if you want to just put a pterodactyl there instead, at least in this beta, is you can do new. Okay, so we'll put that on. Well, I don't even need to do that because it'll create a layer for me. But what I'm going to do is go to the spot healing brush tool. This thing is, now there's a remove tool as well, so this could certainly be valid. I'm actually going to try this out. This might be, I think this might be part of their new feature. I've traditionally used the spot healing brush tool. It's good for like little blemishes, but I've also just made it big and it works pretty darn well. But they have a remove tool now, which I think is going to use AI. Okay, it's on my other screen, but there's a modal saying it's removing the area. I'll pull it on because it looks like it's going to take a while. Wow. Wow. That was really good. Can I hit undo? Okay, cool. It's once it processes. That's insane. That is so good. There's a little spot here. Watch there. That it adds in, but you can use a spot healing brush on that. But yeah, this remove tool is insane. Again, I can't remember if this is brand new. I think it might be. I could be wrong on that. I've always used the spot healing brush tool, but now that you can go here and you can see, okay, well, I don't like this little blemish here, depending on how picky you are. You can just heal that. So just highlight, boom, healed. Crazy. It's gone. It's completely gone. Now, the interesting thing about that is it looked like it did that as a destructive change. So it applied it to my original image. But this is completely gone. So then what you could do, if you want to apply pterodactyl, I'll probably make it a little bigger. Generative fill. Pterodactyl. Now let's try our angry pterodactyl, because now it's not going to be confined to the shape of the blimp. And that's, I think, was throwing it off. But now we're giving it free liberty to say, yeah, just in this space, create a pterodactyl. And I think it'll be better at this. Or not. That's cool too. Am I going crazy? Is a pterodactyl? It's like a flying thing. Yeah. It is. It definitely is. So I don't know what this is. What is this? Okay, maybe the angry part's throwing it off. First I'm gonna give it a negative because it's terrible. But let's try pterodactyl. Oh, weird. What the heck was that about? We didn't recognize your prompt as English? What? What? It's showing up on my other screen, but saying we didn't recognize your prompt as English. You're not English. Let me try flying dinosaur. Because it clearly struggles with the fact of that a pterodactyl is a flying dinosaur. It just like took like a... what is he doing? What is this? Why is there like an arm coming out of his back? That is awesome. He's like breaking it down. That's hilarious. That is 6. They gave me 6 this time. Okay. These are awesome. I think AI is so funny. Oh, okay, because I had the 3 original. I mean, yeah, I don't know. This one's kind of hilarious. Look, he's doing a little jig. Oh my goodness. I don't even know if I want to. I mean, they're not. It is a flying dinosaur, but I don't know. I'm not gonna give it a thumbs up. It's just that cracks me up though. All right, so I think we've. Okay, I can't resist. I have to do this one too because I don't know if it's gonna make any sense of this. But this appears to be some type of animal statue. Like it looks like a bird. So I want to see if it can do something like I don't know, a clown face statue. I have no idea what's going to come up from this. I just want to throw something weird at it. And again, it's going to be used in the context, so it's going to try to hopefully make it look similar. But clown face. Oh, that is awesome. That is so funny. Oh, that is creepy. Oh my goodness. The first one is so hilarious. Good job on that. I mean, it's not exactly the style, but I'm also throwing a curveball at it by saying it has to be a clown face. Oh my goodness. That is awesome. I'm totally ruining Sunhaven. But this is too much fun. All right, we're gonna we're gonna switch gears on that. That's like thumbnail right there. Thumbnail worthy. Look at the detail on the lips. It's like a weird blemish there, and this is strange. Now this kind of gets wonky here. So what you can do is make sure you got the right layer, and then this is her spot healing is just the bomb. Because you're like, oh, you have this blemish on your face, clown? Let me help you. I gotta rasterize it to fix it. That's fine. Alright, so you gotta highlight. Boom, gone. There you go. You're welcome, clown. Do. And you could play around with the forgot what I was gonna say. That was a little too gratuitous there. You can see it's a little odd with the. Again, you can go to town on this, but I just want to show. If you get this weird, like AI has definitely weird artifacts that come up. It's perfect candidate for spot healing. Man, what a face, huh? Legend. All right. That is hilarious. Yeah, that looks a lot better. There's a little weird, like, sort of unibrow thing going on here. I'm just gonna get rid of that. I mean, it's fine if you want a unibrow, but it looks... It's not even a unibrow. It's just like a third of a unibrow. I wasn't even finishing the bridge. It's just like the middle of the bridge. All right. That is awesome. I ruined Sunhaven officially. But the fact that it even, like, I highlighted, I kind of like made a square, and the fact that it kind of incorporated it in. You know what I mean? Like, it recognized that it had to replace this shape here, and that's what's insane. And then even like it even like phased this out. So there was a thing there. And so it didn't just abruptly end, it kind of like eased it out, which is so bonkers to me. And then it even added a little bit here that looks perfectly good. It looks complete. And if you told me this was not part of the original, I would not know that. There's no way I would know that. The only kind of giveaway is like the texture, but even here, like the texture is kind of like it. So wow. Like that blend, aside from it looking artistically completely different, it like blends in really well. Aside from it being a giant clown face. Oh, that is nuts. All right, we're gonna move on. I could work on that all day, but we're gonna play around this painted bear, and I think this one's gonna be tricky because at this point we don't have the ability to like feed it another image, but maybe what I can do is bring in honey bear. This is the original from the game. I'm going to do clean slate here. I'll pull in web p honey bear. Okay, it's a little small. Oh, I like that too. And see that? Ooh, I like that. Yeah, they're kind of going with this kind of like tool bar now. Before it's always up here, and it's like not that intuitive. It's been that way for years, and now it's actually down here. That's really cool. Oh, and you can do this right here. Oh, I love it. I really like this toolbar from a UX perspective. All right, let's try to do honey bear. Come on in. I had to hit accept first. Okay. First order of business, though, is I need to kind of fix the orientation of this. So this is pretty darn close. Actually off center a little bit, but it's the original painting. All right, so now we're gonna try and get... But this is tricky because like I don't know that it's gonna understand that this is, you know, a bear. I can explain that it's a bear, but it's like, I mean, I guess the main thing is that the honey bear has a distinctive look. All right, let's blow this up a little bit. It's not super high res, but it's not bad, right? It's kind of an interesting thing because it's kind of got a little bit of the Bengal vibes going on, like the orange with the brown stripes. That's very interesting about honey badger or honey bear. And then it's got the honey paws, but it's an orange bear with a cool brown thing. But how do you like explain this to AI? It's gonna like probably struggle quite a lot with it. But what I can try to do is, I mean, we'll see how good it is. I imagine it'll be able to find the subject here. Couldn't find a subject to select. Oh, sorry, I'm in the wrong layer here. Yeah, very good. Okay, so now generative fill. I kind of want to do the honey sir. I kind of want to get a tux. Now this one might honestly be a better thing I feed it. But it's hard, like with Midjourney, you can combine two images. I don't know that, at least right now in the beta of Photoshop, that you can do that. You can kind of remix the single image, but I can't say like, hey, remix this image, making it look like this bear in a suit. But what I can do is I can say, maybe we'll try it, orange bear with yellow eyebrows. That's what it has. Smirking, wearing a black tuxedo. I have no idea what it's gonna do with this. It could be amazing or terrible. I mean, yeah, sort of. I mean, it was probably like, orange. I don't know about that. So the orange nose kind of came through. It was like a butler. That was good. I mean, the art is silly, but oh, that was freaking. That's the stuff of nightmares right there. I mean, what is even happening right now? Are these eyeballs or these buttons? What's happening? What's the nose? What's going on with the nose? That kind of reminds me of my like stuffed animals I had as a kid. I'd like push the nose in, so it's inverted. That's what it reminds me of. Oh, that is terrifying. Yeah, it completely just removed the original style. So I mean, this one's not bad, and I think frankly the yellow it got was probably from this. Hilariously enough, because this is actually already a yellow kind of nose. But I think it lost the context in the fact that there's also paint covering this bear. It's kind of an unconventional thing. But if I do... Let me actually do it often that I use this, but it seems applicable for this situation, which is actually an oval elliptical selection tool. I kind of need to preserve the paint. Can I say smirking bear with Bengal stripes? I'm throwing a lot at it because I'm saying, hey, this is a bear that's striped like a Bengal, but it's also covered in paint. And it's like, I don't know. I don't think it's going to be a great result. I mean, if you just take it for face value of like what I asked for, it's like, yeah, kinda, you know, it got a little bit of the, I mean, it has the eyes here are pretty cool. Like if you think of a regular bear, I don't know that they normally have that kind of striping. I'm curious if I look up Bengal, but do Bengal tigers have that? No, they really don't. I'll pull up a picture, but they really don't have, you know, what they kind of did here. It looks kind of cool, but let's see what else we have. That one looks kind of like an armadillo. It's got armadillo vibes there with that nose. Yeah, that one looks like a sloth. That one's hilarious though. That that one's actually really cool because it blended. Like these two are kind of boring where they just kind of like didn't do much with the ellipse, but this one's actually pretty awesome because it actually like blended, like it put paint around the edge, which is actually really good. Right? Like it preserved this, but then it added more paint. That's really good. So from a blending perspective, that is like top notch. I'll actually give that a plus. They did a really good job blending that. And he's smirking. So yeah, I mean, they're not wrong. Doesn't have the Bengal vibes, but like this can get pretty meta pretty fast. Like I could be like, okay, now that I have this guy, can I like make his face? Like, can I put something in his nose? So what should we put in here? A duck beak. But I might get more meta and say like a tiny bear. a tiny frowning bear. I think that's okay. Yeah, I mean that is kind of a duck beak. Oh man, that's so weird. Yeah, no, it's like a duck beak because they do have these weird little nostrils. That's so creepy looking. They put the eyeballs on the duck, so there's like, oh, that is so funny. This reminds me of like a turducken. It's just like 3 animals. That's pretty awesome. I don't know. I'm kind of stuck between. This one is actually like a bear with a duck beak, and this one is a duck on a bear face. I kind of like this one better. They did a good job with the blending on that too. It's really good. But if we undo that for a second, I kind of want to do like another bear. So let's reselect my selection there, and then we'll do a frowning, a sad bear face. So I want to like put a bear inside a bear inside a bear. Oh, okay, so wow. So it actually took the context of the bear and made this bear sad. I was like wanting a standalone. Interesting. Yeah, I guess you can like use it to change the the face of somebody. Now, if you have a human, I forget exactly where it is, but there's a crazy, I think it's a filter. I could be wrong, but there's abilities to like change, like it detects the face and you can change like if it's smiling or it's pretty insane. I forget where that is, but that's if you have a human face. Yeah, this one's not bad, but they actually took too much of context from around and they said, oh, this is a bear and you want it to be sad. I was like, so I kind of need to, I mean, I guess what I need to do is remove face, would be my guess, and just do a sad bear. Because then it'll probably, hopefully lose the context that I want this bear to be sad. What is happening? What is that? I think it's like, I don't know. I'm just it's like a confused bear. Yeah. Oh, what is happening? It has like 2 noses. That's the originals. That's kind of cool though, because you can actually just, it seems like you can put in another prompt and then it preserves the original 3. So if you just want more options, you can do that. This one's hilarious because it's just like a confused bear. But I kind of like the original. I think it's hard to beat that. It's so cute. He's just like happy. He's like a bear. He's like, what it reminds me of is those places you go, like museums or family farms, and like there's the cutout. And so this is a bear standing inside the cutout of another bear. I love it. That's pretty great. All right, I'm happy with how that one turned out. The last one I'm just kind of curious about would be how does it take the context of this snapshot I took. I'm curious to see, because I've always thought about the idea of the map being bigger than what it is. I want to see if it can make sense of that. So what I'm going to do is just get rid of some things here just so it's not distracted by them. But let's go back to our little handy dandy removed. Well, that one I can probably just use the spot healing. That should be pretty easy to remove. Bye-bye. Okay, see you later. This one I think needs a little bit more context. So I'm going to do this remove tool. Just get rid of this little... It'd be kind of fun to try to make it come up with more, but I think it's going to be complete nonsensical. Like, you could use ChatGPT from like a text perspective for that. That's insane. This is a little... Let's see if I can get rid of that. Wow. That went really well. Wow, I'll leave it at that. That's pretty impressive. That one took that one was processed way faster. But now we have a pretty clean map here. So then what I can do is what we can do with the generative AI is we can expand out and let's see what it thinks should be the case. So I'm gonna extend. I gotta be a little careful with the left-hand side because it might think the camera wants to expand it, but hopefully it gets the context of. So you just click generative fill and generate. No prompt, it just kind of like does its own thing. I'm curious what it comes up with. Now is it gonna repeat? So I think it's gonna be like pretty bonkers looking. But let's see if it can pick up the pattern because there are these little hexagonal tiles. Whoa, that's not bad. No, the top didn't really work out too well. But the right-hand side did a really good job with it. It made more tiles. And the rock started breaking down a bit. And it's got some... You can start seeing kind of the belly of the beast a bit. Like, look at that. It tried to, like, create... It looks like either a rock or some type of slug being. And then this one... It looks like a bit of the green and brown. It looks like a little bit like a seed. So it looks like it's trying to emulate this. But the perspective on it is kind of odd because it looks like almost like this. Like we have an isometric view where it's kind of a bit top down. It looks like it's trying to do a side view. Kind of like if you were in the water and you're seeing like just the surface at your eye level. It looks like it's trying to do that, like a side view. And it actually did a little bit of, it was like, oh yeah, I got it. I can do this line thing. Cool. What? And then it just like gets confused. It looks like bubble gum. And then this is a pretty weird tile too. But the fact that it like generally kind of did okay. Not too bad. I'm going to try and extend it out even further. So what we're going to do is like just see how weird this gets. Canvas size relative to the left. We're going to extend this out another, I don't know, 800 or so pixels. And then I'm going to do, now what I do want to do is get rid of, like, delete this. I just want to see what it does. It'll probably do more tiles, I imagine. I want to see how weird things get. Because I didn't give it too much room to be weird. Now I'm giving it a lot more room to be weird. So I think it's going to be probably pretty largely tiles. But it's going to get like pretty bizarre in what it's actually putting on the tiles. Whoa, what is happening? Yeah. Oh, that is insane. You can see how it's trying to do a water tile. Yeah, it's like struggling to make sense of the scene. Wow, it actually did some pretty good water tiles here and a nice tile. So it actually replicated some of it. And there is a nice tile. So it had a nice tile. And it was next to a rock tile again, but it kind of seemed to understand a bit of the concept of, okay, this is a hexagonal ice tile. Because you can see here what's interesting is it didn't put, even though this is the only occurrence of an ice tile, has a pink line through it. And it seemed to understand the concept that the pink line runs through some of these hexagonal tiles, but not to actually put a pink line through this one. So that's really interesting. And then this is just hilarious. It's like an eyeball sticking out. There's some lettuce. There's water splashing. It was like, oh yeah, this seems like there's a lot of action going on here. So it kind of just seemed to replicate that there's war going on. Yeah. No, this is really fun because I love just like creating things, and the AI just lets you, for me, I'm not talented in like hand drawing. I like doing like Illustrator or mashing things together in Photoshop. So all this generative AI stuff is very, very fun from an art perspective. Just being able to kind of ideate and come up with like pretty silly things, like whatever your mind is thinking of, like, oh, I want to put a clown here, and it's like, yeah, sure, okay, and it does it for you. It's so much fun. So I really think your imagination is the limit here. Now granted, there are going to be some situations like this where probably better serve like doing just manual Photoshop. If you actually want to extend this map, you could kind of separate one of these tiles, and then you can kind of patch the tiles in. That's still going to be better for certain contexts, but something like a scene that it can make sense of, and just replacing stuff or adding stuff, crazy. All right, so I'm overall pretty impressed with this. I think as a beta feature, I'm super impressed, and I've seen some other videos of more like photographic stuff where they're extending the scenes. I really was challenging it here with kind of a very specific video game scene here, but a scene that it can make sense of based on like real data. Like if there's a scene of a beach, it's like, oh yeah, I can kind of make sense of this, and it'll have more context based on whatever other images have been fed into the AI of beach scenes. It can go, oh, I'm going to add rocks that weren't there before. I'm going to add a boardwalk, things like that. Super powerful. And we're early, so I imagine that even just in a couple of years that this is going to be so much more powerful, especially with all of the hype around AI right now. There's tons of companies right now just building out the technology. And so it's a bit of an arms race, so to speak. So there's going to be a ton of innovation in this area. So I think we're kind of seeing very early on a taste of what's to come. But I'm very impressed. I'm very impressed with Photoshop in its beta form and the tools I have available to me to, once it generates, I can just tweak it right within here. Whereas in other tools, I had a full image, and it's sometimes very impressive. but I had to, if I want to make manipulations to it, it's going to be challenging. I'll show you one I did for Night Lily. And this was completely in Lexica. All right, so the Lexica, I hide all my edits. This was the original from Lexica. And so in all the lighting and everything's in place, but the background's also there. So I don't have like a distinct layer, but now that I can do this in Photoshop, I can actually change probably the background with a little effort. And in Photoshop, I took it into Photoshop to add in the green and the dark eyes, like Night Lily. Night Lily is one of the plants. Looks like this. Okay, so I use this. I created this in Lexica and used a prompt, and it nailed the flower hat. Nailed it. Because if you think of a flower hat, I was getting like brim hats with flowers, or a little flower protruding from their head. But this is exactly what I wanted. And then I just had to kind of tweak the. They were struggling with the green skinned alien. I tried like green alien, which is really there. Those are some creepy results. And I tried like green skin. Human. I eventually went with Gamora from Guardians of the Galaxy, and it could actually get that pretty well, but it struggled to combine it with a hat. So I just figured, I'll just color it myself. But with something like this, it gets pretty darn cool because you can do, I imagine, if I do select subject, we'll do that real quick. Invert selection here, and then say forest, purple, forest. I did miss this leaf too, so I might get confused by that, but. Wow. Incredible. That's nuts. That's super good. And so I did miss this part, but what's really cool is, again, you're in Photoshop. You can go, oops, I missed that. Let me just restore the original. Boop, 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 boop. And I got to move this up. I want it to be, these are my effects. That is insane. It looks so good. Okay, I can do some little tweaks here. Like there's some little things hanging here that's a little distracting. Looks like her ears are bleeding, but you know, you can do some light tweaks. I'm not going to bore you with that, but man. Right, because I have to restore some of these things because they got kind of lost. You know, but you can color that right back in. Right. That's insane. That came out extremely well, and it kind of matched the vibes of the foreground. This is nuts. This is absolutely nuts. So I'm gonna have a lot of fun with this. But I just wanted to share some of this latest technology with some of the Everseed art. I get pumped up whenever I see Everseed art, like the stuff that the team's releasing and the universe they're building is going to be so cool. And then to be able to kind of artistically, as a creator, just create your own little renditions and, you know, fan art from this using AI. So much fun. So much fun. But anyway, pretty long video, so I'll cut it here. But if you enjoyed watching, I'd appreciate a like. You can also subscribe if you like more content like this. I oftentimes do gameplay, but I'll be doing some other content especially when there's no playtest, because right now the game is not out as of May 31st, 2023. But yeah, feel free to subscribe. I'll be putting out more content when I can. All right, I'll see you on the next video.